Welcome to the All Ambient podcast, where we dig into the creative process, hear untold stories, and explore the brilliant minds behind some of the finest ambient music out there. I'm your host, Mike Graff. I'm excited to be in this together with you. Let's get going. Again, welcome to the All Ambient podcast, everyone. My name is Mike Graff. I make music as Dear Gravity. And this week we have another entry into our 4-way collab release series. This week, Ben Tatlow of Antarctic Wastelands is going to give us an inside look on the track that he created for our 4-way collab. Again, all four of us, Kirk, Ben, Marshall, and myself, started the week with a song starter, and then we began to pass it around to different people and touched different songs along the way. It was a really unique process, and there were some great things that happened. But what a great thing for each of us to start out a song. And Ben's is a beautiful one. You're not going to want to miss the insight, not only of where it started, but also his reflections on where it wound up. You'll pick up some great stuff along the way and get to hear this great song. We have yet to officially decide how this song is going to be released out into the world, but the moment that there is news on that, we'll be sure to post it into the show notes and you'll see it on our socials. So don't miss it. But in the meantime, here's another behind the scenes look of Ben Tatlow's song starter for our all ambient 4-way collab release.
So I have in front of me 2 project files. The first one is the 6 stems from my original starter. And then I have the 21 stems that Marshall sent me as, kind of the final version. I guess it is. It's fully mixed, possibly even mastered, although broken down, of course, in this project. The first thing that I notice is obviously the amount of additional layers and textures and stems that have been added. But it's also cool to see that some of the original ideas, in fact, a lot of the original ideas have survived in one shape or another. So I haven't listened to either versions for a couple of months now, so this is a little bit fresh for me, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and listen through to at least part of the starter, and then I will also listen through to the full final version and pick out some interesting stuff, just kind of see how everything progressed. Here was the starter. So one thing I do recall is that it ended up not being at 440 pitch. So I know that Kirk, who came right after my starter, decided that he would pitch it slightly down to 440. So this feels a little sharp versus the final version. That is, I'm not going to say it was intentional, but it was part of the process. So we have in this starting point, we have the kind of these swirly high effects which kind of open everything up, kind of a main pad which I know I created using kind of effects on top of a tongue drum that I have. Then I have these fuzz chords which provide the harmonic movement in the track, and that it's called a blue bass that I've created. Is essentially kind of a simple sine kind of tone, which is used more as in a kind of bass frequency in this track. A little felt piano shimmers on top of it. Oh yes, and then this chord sequence kind of repeats twice, I believe. Some kind of ethereal shimmer coming in here. All right, I now have the final version in front of me. I'm going to listen through and pick out some things that I hear kind of on this fresh listen. Obviously, the first impression is that piano chord was not in the original. Very prominent part of this. Really beautiful. Love how that kind of introduces the chord sequence ahead of any synthesized pad or other kind of chordal element. Love some of those shimmers above it as well. Okay, now we're getting those fuzz chords coming in the background there. Got some more melodic development. That's lovely, both on the guitar and on the piano. Fun to hear that the blue bass was retained throughout all of these adjustments. And this is perhaps the biggest shift in the piece, is this addition of this middle section, few new chords added, which I love. I think it's just great, really lifts the piece at this point. And gives extra power when the chord sequence returns at this point. Some lovely textural development in this second section. Additional pianos, additional guitar elements. Feels like there's a real purpose in repeating those 4-5 chords at this point. Oh, we've got the ethereal shimmer has kept its place as well. And then we've got some piano sprinkles here right at the end. I love hearing what the guys did to this piece and how things have developed. I love this middle section that has been added, which really kind of gives an extra build into that second half, bringing with it kind of an anticipation almost of those original chords returning. And with that, the additional layers of guitar, of piano, of kind of atmospheric elements really give that second half a kind of a weight and just an excitement, which is just really, really, really cool. I love it. It's fun to hear that some of the kind of core elements of the initial idea, the bass was quite prominent, and it's come down a little bit in the mix, but it's still very much grounding the piece. That's really kind of fun to hear. Similarly, those fuzz chords that kind of started up as essentially the basis of the original starter, those are actually retained. I wondered whether those would be replaced entirely, but not. They're kind of still there in a relatively prominent form, which is really nice to see. And then some of those atmospheric elements that I'd kind of added in the starter, those are there but have been added to in their own way to just create this lush soundscape. So yeah, it's really, really fun to see how this collaboration has developed, unfolded. It's fun to hear Mike's guitar playing in particular kind of coming through, the way that Marshall has worked with some of the synths and the overall mix, and how, of course, Kirk has added a lot of the piano elements and some of the more structural elements to the piece as well. Just, yeah, really beautiful work from the guys. Always fun to collaborate with them in different ways. And just super happy with how this has turned out. So if you ever have the chance of collaborating with people, especially people whose music you admire and enjoy, then I can only recommend it. Thanks for following this journey, and see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the All Ambient podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can catch every conversation we have with all these incredible people who share the same passion. I'm looking forward to the next time, and I hope you are too. Can't wait to see you then, and until then, have an incredible day. Here's hoping this music and the heart behind it makes your day and life that much better. We'll see you next time.